Hey everybody, and welcome to the Rocket Hideout's Pokemon Week. In today's video, we're going to cover our top 10 favorite Pokemon. These Pokemon may span any of the generations. There's not really any rules.
No.
The only rule is that we've each chosen 5, and we don't know what each of us has chosen.
That's right.
So it's going to be a surprise to me as well.
It's going to be a complete mystery.
Yeah.
Okay, so my first pick for this video is Hitmonlee, the Kicking Fiend. One of the reasons is Hitmonlee apparently literally translated means monster that hits like Bruce Lee. Being a big Bruce Lee fan that I am, that's absolutely great. And being a Muay Thai enthusiast as well, I really admire Hitmonlee's explosiveness and all the kicks that he does. And I'm quite envious of it as well, because I wish I had his sort of explosiveness that he has, you know.
So my first pick is less impressive, but I'm going to have to go with Butterfree. When I was a kid playing Pokemon Blue, I believe it was, Caterpie was one of the big Pokemon you'd find in Viridian Forest. I hope it's Pokemon Blue anyway. And from the start, you never have very many Pokemon to choose from, and Caterpie wasn't a very good choice, but he would evolve quickly and eventually become Caterpie, and as I became a better player throughout the game, I found that Butterfree really came in handy. It's a status effect powerhouse, as I've just recently made up. You've got Sleep Powder, Paralyzed Powder, Poison Powder, all these things. With Butterfree, you could knock other Pokemon out in very strategical ways. I also like Butterfree because she's cute.
She.
It's a she.
Okay, so here I go with Pokemon pick number 3. Continuing the bug Pokemon trend, my next pick is Scyther. Now with Scyther, I'm sure as all of you who have played Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow in the past, when you go to the Safari Zone, Scyther's one of the rarer Pokemon in the game, and when you actually encounter him, it's like, oh my god, it's a Scyther, you know? And so you do the best you can to try and catch it, and when you do actually catch it, I mean, that's a feeling that, you know, it might, you know, give sex a run for its money. It's just catching a Scyther's as good as sex, you know. Also, you gotta love those huge scythes that he sports naturally, being Scyther. Some trivia about it is that he uses those scythes to kill and catch his prey, and that's
pretty grim, actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to a boy, I guess, you know. And also, special mention goes out to Tracy's Scyther. that Scyther that was old but was still really tough and would really put up a good fight. It was like the Pokemon version of Ironhide or something.
Well, my fourth pick for the Team Rocket's top 10, this is another guilty pleasure of mine, and it's Jigglypuff. I've got no other reason, no strategical reason for choosing Jigglypuff other than the fact that she's adorable, and it's a she. I'm going on the anime Jigglypuff mainly.
Okay.
If you've watched the original season 1 of the anime, you'll remember Jigglypuff as this annoying little pink fluffy ball that would follow the group around, putting them to sleep and drawing on their faces. I really identified to Jigglypuff because I was a bit of an annoying little shit when I was a kid, and
tell it like it is, I guess.
And Jigglypuff is just adorable, and seeing her makes me happy. Also, if you've ever tried catching Jigglypuff, at a low level anyway, that Singlet move is pretty annoying, and it could really get in your way. And,
yeah.
So you gotta give it credit for that anyway. It's pretty annoying.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that. I'll agree with you.
You can relate. You can relate.
Yeah. Okay, well, here's pick number 5 for you. And pick number 5 for me is Pikachu.
Yay!
Now, you know, Pikachu is the face of Pokemon. When you see Pokemon, you always see Pikachu. Pikachu's everywhere, you know, and I think to love Pokemon, I think you gotta love Pikachu as well. If you don't like Pikachu, I don't know if you can truly call yourself a Pokemon fan just because of how prevalent Pikachu is. You know, it's the star of the show. It had its own version of the Pokemon game, and when we were in Japan, Pikachu was everywhere to the point the airport security actually pointed at our Pikachu bag, this one that I'm wearing here, and actually exclaimed Pikachu. So that was absolutely brilliant. One more thing as well is, you know, electric type Pokemon are always awesome, and Pikachu is like the ultimate electric Pokemon, I think. I would have picked Raichu, but Pikachu has the edge on Raichu because Pikachu's a lot cuter, I think.
It's got a lot more notoriety as well, being Pikachu. I mean, Japan is a Pika-palooza over there. You can't escape. And no matter how many games there's been, Pikachu is always the mascot.
Yeah, always.
It never changes.
Always. And I like that familiarity, to be honest. If they can Pikachu, that would be the absolute death blow for Pokemon for me. I wouldn't go back to it.
Well, moving on, we have our sixth pick, my sixth pick, and that would be Larvitar. Larvitar was available in either silver or gold, I believe.
Right, yeah.
The reason I chose Larvitar is that when I was a kid playing Pokemon, obviously, I remember one of my fondest memories actually is climbing Mount Silver. I don't know if you remember that.
No,
basically, silver and gold. I mean, obviously they were the first because they were only the second generation, right? Yeah. In silver and gold, you could go between the Kanto and the Johto region.
Yeah, that was
so
great.
Amazing. I fangasmed all over the place when that happened.
My old man did as well.
Oh man, that was amazing. I've got the vapors. Anyway, I'm pretty sure after you traveled between both regions and defeated both Elite Fours, you were allowed to go up Mount Silver, where you could climb and fight Red.
Yes, yeah.
Which nerds will know is what the original Pokemon
the hero,
trainer,
the original
heroes of Pokemon. And anyway, while climbing Mount Silver, I met this little green, cute little weird-looking thing, and I caught it. And I was just at this point in the game where I was at such a high at how amazing the game was that Larvitar is sort of, I guess he can give. I guess you can say he's my favourite because he showed up at the right moment.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock, right?
Yeah, he showed up at just the right moment. I was already on a high. He showed up, I caught him, and he became one of my favourite Pokemon to use in that game, actually. He's pretty powerful, considering. I mean, he's a rock Pokemon. Is he ground type as well? I have no idea. I need to research better. That. But he was adorable. He came around the right time, and he was pretty strong for a little Pokemon. Like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was really, really small.
And he evolved into like this giant dinosaur-looking thing. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He was really cool looking.
It was, yeah, but that was the beauty of the Pokemon, I think, from the first two generations. They look really simple because they were animals, most of them. But they also look so good as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a classic example of less is more because I see modern Pokemon now and I'm like, what the hell is that supposed to be?
That?
Okay, so pick number 7 for me now is...
What a surprise!
Meowth. I absolutely adore Meowth. I think he's the best, or at least one of the best anyway. I mean, Meowth...
This is going largely on the anime then, isn't it? If you love Meowth.
To be honest, yeah, and part of the reason is because he was one of the characters that got me into Pokemon in the first place. I didn't have a Game Boy when I was a kid, so when Pokemon came out I was kind of late to the party and I didn't get it. But I actually caught the TV show, and that's kind of how I got into it, and Meowth was a big part of that, you know. And, you know, even if we take the anime out of it for a minute, I think Meowth is just... I mean, most people love cats. I love cats. And this is a cat who has an attack that when he attacks, money just falls all over the place and you get extra money after the battle. Now, who doesn't want a Pokemon or an animal or anything like that
That shoots money.
that shoots money? Exactly. I love Meowth. I think he's great, and you know, I hold a special place in my heart for the Meowth from the anime. I'm a huge Meowth fan. I mean, so much I have a Meowth t-shirt somewhere. There's a picture of me in Japan wearing it, so we should probably superimpose that onto it so you can see how much I really do love Meowth. And I think another cool thing as well, he was based on the Lucky Cat.
Yes. What's the name? I can't
Maneki
even think.
Neko, is it?
Maneki Neko?
Something like that. I thought that was a really
yeah, it was cute.
cool concept
They
as
were
well.
taking a part of their own Japanese lore and using it as part of this game, which was pretty cool if you like Japan.
Yeah,
which we
yeah.
do, so.
We love Japan. Yeah.
Number 8 of our top 10 is going to have to be Charizard. Who can disagree with that? Can you?
Well, I don't want to give it away, but he's not my number 1 or anything.
Right, okay. Well, Charizard is I guess you could say my number 2 and in the top 10 as number 8, because my starter Pokemon was Charmander. Yep. I was one of those people who chose Charmander and got their ass kicked for about 3 gyms.
Yes, I'm sure you did.
He was such a challenge, and he was so difficult to master, but once you did, you felt so good. And Charizard was my first Pokemon to reach 100, level 100.
I've never had a Pokemon reach level 100.
Casual gamers. I had a whole team of level 100s. I mean, Charizard was my very first, and he was one of the few that I actually leveled up legitimately. Wink, wink. He was so powerful. He was a giant fire-breathing dragon, and when I think of him, it just makes me so happy because it reminds me of those early memories of just grinding on Pokemon Blue. The hours and hours I sank into that game, I'll never get back. I don't want them back, necessarily.
No, you don't want those hours back, because those hours were well enjoyed, and, you know, if you're anything like me, they're fun memories as well. This is pick number 9, and my final pick, so this is a bit special. If we could, like, add a drum roll in post, that would be great. Is everybody ready? My final pick, and I guess this would be my top 1 on the list, I think.
Right, okay, so Marty's top 1 Pokemon.
Yeah, because I've done these.
I know what it is.
You probably do. I've done these in order, so, you know, this is my number 1. My number 1 Pokemon is Arcanine. That's my favourite Pokemon. I gotta be honest, I struggled between Growlithe or Arcanine, and I decided to pick Arcanine because Arcanine is a legendary Pokemon. He's listed as a legendary Pokemon, and you know, there's some bonus points there, I think. Also, you know, I'm a big dog lover. I've grown up with dogs all my life, so when I found out that there was a canine Pokemon in there, it's like it was my mission to get this canine Pokemon. I got Growlithe, and when I actually got the Fire Stone and evolved it into Arcanine, I was kind of torn, because I love Growlithe, he's a great puppy. But with Arcanine, I think I just love how it looks, with the flowing fur.
Well, it's another reference to Japanese lore,
yes, it
isn't
is,
it?
yeah, it is. And it's, you know, it's supposed to move so fast that it looks like it's flying or something, and I really like that. And plus, I think if I had to pick a Pokemon type that was my favourite, I really love the fire Pokemon, and I think that's a big reason why I'm not as big on the Pokemon games anymore too, because fire Pokemon don't seem to really... they're not as prevalent as they used to be, I think, so yeah.
Which is a real shame.
Indeed, so that's my number 1 Pokemon, Arcanine, and I will live by that forever.
Till the day he does.
Yes.
The last one on our top 10 list, and I want to make a note, this is in no particular order, although it is my favourite Pokemon of all time. Yeah, the last one on our top 10 is, drumroll,
That's a
Mew.
Mew. Oh.
This shouldn't shock you.
No, it doesn't.
Here's a little anecdote from when I was a kid. Mew was obviously the rarest Pokemon you could get, and there was tons of rumors floating around of how you could catch a Mew. You know, some weird stuff with Missing No, you know, that creepy glitch Pokemon. What was it? A Game Shark?
Game Genie?
No, I think it was Game Shark
Right.
when I was a kid. I don't know.
Okay.
It was Game Shark. I don't know. I could not for the life of me figure out how to get a Mew, and I was desperate for one. And that's when my present love of my life proposed to me. It wasn't him. He proposed to me that I trade him a Magmar for his Mew, which is pretty uneven trade. Mew has got to be one of the cutest Pokemon ever. I mean, he freaking mews like a kitten, so...
of course you got love that.
And he's also got all this lore attached to him. He's the ancestor of all Pokemon. And as a kid with no internet, he was so full of mystery, and I wanted to know all about him.
Can we talk about that a second? Can we talk about when Pokemon, the first movie, came out? Because I was into Pokemon by the time the first movie was coming out, and there was just so much mystery behind Mew and Mewtwo, and at any time, whether you saw a trailer for the movie or there was a reference to like Mewtwo in the show, it got you so excited because you knew nothing about Mew because you couldn't catch him either in the game. So you wanted to know more.
He was one of the few you couldn't. Was he the only one at the time you couldn't legitimately catch?
Yeah, you had to go to like Toys R Us.
Yeah, it was impossible. If you were a poor kid with no internet, no way of getting to New York. In my case, you just couldn't have Mew, and it was such a big deal for me to get that Mew. It was, and then I proceeded to clone him about 10 million times using a code, and which technically screwed up my blue cartridge.
Yes, she owns a cursed Pokemon Blue.
Cursed Blue. You guys will get to see that sometime this week. So yeah, Mew is number 1 for me, and that's our top 10 for the Rocket Hideout Top 10 Pokemon.
Thanks for watching.
Bye! Bye!